If I wanted to get that information out to the general public, what that study actually said, a study that was conducted by the United States government, I could potentially go to jail. Does that make any sense? It's the biggest fraud that's ever been perpetrated on the United States. That's a proven fact. That actually happened. And that makes me sick, and it also makes me angry. You ask me why I'm doing this? That's why I'm doing this. Right now, the most successful people in the world are prepared for anything that comes their way. I taught myself to ask more questions and how to get more out of life. If you want more, it really can happen, and it's simple strategies and techniques. These aren't pie-in-the-sky things. I'm not one of these guys telling you about how to be successful and never done it. I do it every single day.
This is the Alden Report.
All right. Welcome. That's weird. You guys staring at me? Well, welcome to another edition of the Alden Report. My name is Michael Alden. We're here in Vase Studios on this beautiful kind of gloomy Friday afternoon. I'm glad you're here. For those of you on Periscope, welcome. And for those of you listening on my podcast, again, welcome. I'm glad you're here. You know, past couple of days have been some really, really busy days for me. Some really interesting stuff with my company. Recently, yesterday, I was on a conference call for almost 8 hours about my book, about my first book, about my second book, and about a new opportunity that we're launching here at Vase Marketing. And it's something that I'm really, really excited about. And really what it is, you know, a lot of people have been asking me, a lot of young entrepreneurs, a lot of business people have been asking me, you know, for advice and how to do things, and, you know, how to overcome adversity, and how do I go from literally from nothing to generating close to $200 million in a very short period of time. Well, it wasn't really that short, but for all intents and purposes, you know, it's actually pretty quick. You know, most people can't even fathom the amount of money that we've generated here at this company. And so it's really been an interesting journey, and we got to the point now where you know, we're starting to, you know, bring people in to the campuses of Vase Marketing and sit down and talk with young entrepreneurs, young business owners, you know, but these are people who are real serious about business, and not only necessarily about owning a business, but serious about you know, kind of growing as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a you know, an individual who's looking to climb the corporate ladder, so to speak. So these are people that are real serious. They're interested in really kind of taking things to the next level. You know, when I was talking about this yesterday with some pretty powerful individuals about, you know, what we're going to introduce into the marketplace very soon, and, you know, we were really making sure that when we do this, and when we start to really bring people here and spend time with them, that these people, again, they're serious. They're ready to take things to the next level, and they understand the things that need to be done. You know, in this day and age, and I've talked about it before, a lot of the you know, the Y generation, the 20-somethings, they're looking, you know, for that immediate you know, rise to the top. Again, they see celebrities, or they see these rich people on television, and they think that it just happened overnight, and it doesn't just happen overnight. It can happen quickly. If you do things, you know, the right way, and you know, that's something that I've done. I've literally started companies from nothing and generated millions and millions of dollars, multiple companies, multiple products all over the world. And there, you know, there's a method to it. There are things that I've done, and there's a lot of things that I've learned, and a lot of mistakes that I've made as well. So we have a system, and you know, it's really exciting for me to, you know, to introduce it to a lot of young entrepreneurs, and even entrepreneurs that have really kind of been out there just barely making it, you know, week after week. They're you know, essentially a slave to their company. Being an entrepreneur is something that not most people can handle, but there are ways to make it a lot easier, and there are ways to improve your day-to-day life. And again, it's not necessarily about money. It's not about the material things. It's about the quality of life. It's about the things that you want to do. And I have been able to do that at a very, very young age. Again, I've made a lot of mistakes. I continue to even make some mistakes. But that's who I am. And I think that's why I'm also excited about it. I'm not some guy that's going to be out there teaching you how to be successful and not really doing it, or not have done it. I'm literally doing it right now, and I've done it before in the past. So when we introduce our program to people, you really will appreciate it, because not only am I real, but the things that we've done and the things that we're doing are real. They're not theory, they're not abstract, and they're not these whacked out things that you hear in the marketplace about you have to do things 10 times better than everybody else. Well, that doesn't work for most people, okay? And they're not these programs that you have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours at even just understanding some of the principles and strategies in there, and it's not complicated. I'm a pretty simple guy, and I've done a lot of pretty extraordinary things, at a very, very young age. But I've done it, again, with very, very simple strategies and techniques and things that I've learned throughout my life. And so we're really, really excited to introduce that. It's not going to be for everybody. If you're out there and you're you want to maybe be a part of this, or there's going to be a pretty rigorous process in order for you to come in here, because I don't want to waste your time, right? I don't want to waste my time or your money, okay? Because it's something that you have to be serious about. A lot of people really are just they love the idea of being an entrepreneur, right? They love the idea of making money. Everybody loves the idea of making money. Everybody loves the idea of being their own boss. Everybody loves the idea of becoming the next vice president of their company, or climbing up to the senior ranks and making 6 figures, even 7 figures. People love that idea. Like, who doesn't love that idea, right? But you have to be really serious about it. And most people aren't. Most people, like I say, most people like to dream about things. They like to dream about, going on vacation and having the second house and doing, all these things. Well, I say dreaming, folks, is for sleeping. Okay. I don't dream about anything. I dream, just naturally we have dreams, but I don't daydream, or I don't sit there and close my eyes and say, oh, geez, I wish I had a jet, or I wish I had a helicopter, or I wish I lived in this, bigger house than I already live in, or I wish I had this or that. I don't wish for anything. I don't dream for anything. I set goals, and I go after those goals, and I accomplish those goals. And there's a way to do it properly. And there's a way to also really just fuck it up. And it happens all the time. I see people, again, they in their head, they have these intentions, but they're never really able to kind of get out of their own way. That's one of the things that I found when I've been, coaching people over the past few years. People come to me and ask me for advice, and then they don't take it. So why'd you ask? What's the point? Why are we even talking? If you're going to ask me for advice, well, you should not only listen, but you should actually take it as well. Sometimes people, they want to maybe, hear something that is, really what they want to hear, and hoping that they'll get some sort of affirmation of their theories or their ideas. But in all reality, they're just they're just a pie in the sky type stuff. It's not real, so they want to hear from someone like me that, hey, yeah, it's a great idea. I'm not going to tell you it's a great idea if it's a ridiculous idea. I'm not going to show you things that don't work. I'm not going to show you things that I haven't done myself. I'm not going to talk to you about things that I haven't done myself and the things that I'm doing right now. Yesterday when I was talking to the individuals that are going to help me kind of grow this out, we talked about the things that I do on a daily basis, and I've done on a daily basis at my company. And, You know, I literally do everything and know how to do everything at my company. Am I the best at everything? Absolutely not. And that's why you hire great people. That's why we're able to get to where we are. There are people that are surrounded me that are way smarter than I am. And that's how, you know, that's one of the things that you can do to grow a successful business. But I also know how to do essentially everything at my business. Just a couple days ago, I was out selling Emery vodka. A vodka that Blue Vase Marketing has just introduced into the market, and we're only in a couple states. We're not in a rush. We're you know, we're growing it, and we're really excited about growing it. But I was out there doing it myself, and I was doing it myself because I wanted to learn more about the spirits industry and the sales process, and quite frankly, I was a little frustrated in the beginning with the gentleman that I was with, but he is, I joked around with him, he essentially has his PhD in distilled spirits. He knows more than anybody. And I've learned throughout the years that if I don't know it, then I need to recognize that and be self-aware and step back and say, you know what, I know enough to know that I don't know. And that's something that, again, we'll talk about at some of the trainings and how to really recognize that. But really what I wanted to get into today, it's been kind of a long introduction, what I wanted to get into today is the differences between an opportunity and a responsibility and kind of how they come together. An opportunity and a responsibility, again, and how they come together. Now, I'll just kind of start off with an example, okay? I think that's the easiest way for people to really understand it. I hate to kind of pick on the Y generation, but it's just, this is what I see. This is what I see at my own company. This is what I see at other people's companies, and again, the 20-somethings that feel as though that they should just climb right to the top and just, you know, all of a sudden be making six figures and be, you know, king shit. Well, it doesn't happen that way, and a lot of times, and one of the reasons why the younger generation or some of these lower level employees aren't able to break through is because they're unable to recognize what an opportunity is, not just in business but in life. Now, a responsibility, okay? In the definition, I don't have an exact definition. I didn't write it down when I came in here. But a responsibility is something that is given to you that you need to take care of. Okay. It's something that you have been given and you need to take care of, whether it be, you know, in your personal life, whether it be at your place of employment. Okay, you're given something that you need to take care of and get it done. Okay, that's a responsibility that you've been given. Now, within many companies, there are org charts, and they have certain responsibilities within each position, right? And that's what org charts are for. I hate org charts. I think that they do serve a purpose, but I think people can get caught up in really the fundamentals of it, and they become so unable to think outside the box that they stick to this org chart thing, and I think it can ruin companies. And they can, it also can ruin personal relationships when people feel as though that their role is one thing and that's it. Okay, well, that's where most people, again, make a mistake when I'm talking about a responsibility. I want to tell you a story. A couple years ago, when I started Blue Vase Marketing, we didn't have a lot of people. We only had 4 or 5 people, and then we grew it out to 10, 20, 30. But we were probably right around 40, 50 people at the time, and we had this advertisement that just brought in just really a lot of I'm just going to adjust this camera here. There we go, a little bit better. We brought in a new accountant. Okay, he was a CPA, right? And again, this new advertisement that we had, it brought in so many calls, and we needed help. Okay. we didn't have enough people to answer the phones. And I tell a story too. 1-800-Flowers, still to this day on Valentine's Day, everyone gets on the phones at 1-800-Flowers, from people in shipping to the CEO. They take calls because they need to. Now they overflow calls to other call centers too, but everyone kind of pitches in. And so we had this advertisement, calls were coming in, and I said to everyone at the company that I need you to get on the phones during this advertisement, and I need you to make sales. Okay? Real simple request from me. And everyone did it, except my CFO/accountant, okay? His office was across the hall from mine. So the next day, my general counsel came to me and said, "Hey, Mike, did you notice that Rich, his office is completely empty?" I said, "No, I didn't notice." And it was kind of startling because this guy controlled my money. And so I called him. It was late at night. It was 7, 8 o'clock at night when we were still in the office. And I called and I said, he didn't answer. And I called again. And I said, "Rich, if you don't call me back, you're fired." Well, he didn't call me back in time, so I essentially fired him. But what I was giving Rich, and I had to explain this to him after I fired him, I felt as though that he needed to understand why he was asked to do that, and then ultimately why he was fired. He was asked to take sales call, one, because we just needed help, okay? We're at my company, at Blue Vase, we don't stick to the org charts. We all have responsibilities. We all have titles. We all have roles, but we all also chip in when it's necessary. And that's what makes our company great, and that's what makes a lot of companies great. And so I explained to him, I said, "Rich, I was giving you the responsibility," by the way, it was a temporary responsibility, "to jump on the phones and to make some sales calls." These aren't outbound sales calls, by the way. People are calling us, okay? So he's not cold calling. People are calling us. I just needed him to answer the phone, say hello, and sell some stuff. And he felt as though that it was beneath him. He said, "Mike, I'm a CPA, with my master's degree. I'm an accountant." Now, I'm a lawyer, okay, as well, right? And I've learned, throughout the years that it doesn't mean shit to anybody. Your degrees don't mean anything, okay? It doesn't matter. None of that shit matters when it comes down to real business, when it comes down to the real world. People don't ask you, "Hey, what did you get on your SATs?" Or, "What was your GPA in law school? What was your GPA when you were in medical school? What did you score on the boards in the CPA exam, when in the middle of a business transaction?" It doesn't happen. It might happen at an interview, but in real life, it doesn't happen. So he says, "I'm a CPA. I don't feel as though that I need to take sales calls." And I said, "Rich, again, I gave you the responsibility to do this because I wanted you to learn more about our sales process. As our accountant, as someone who handles the money, I was giving you also the opportunity to learn more about the sales process, to understand how we actually operate and what we do here at Blue Vase, and maybe you could actually improve on the process. You see, your eyes are different than my eyes, Rich. You look at things differently than I do. And maybe you could have improved upon things." And guess what, folks? It happens all the time at my company. And then I fired him. I fired him because of just his attitude, but also the fact that he was, as a CPA and with his master's degree, he was unable to recognize that what I was giving him was truly an opportunity. I was giving him an opportunity. And so many people, day in and day out, are unable to recognize what an opportunity is. Most times, an opportunity is wrapped up in a new responsibility. So when you're given a new responsibility at your place of employment, maybe you're given a new responsibility in your personal relationships, okay? Look at it as an opportunity to grow, to learn, to do more things, to get better. And when you're able to do that and actually look at things and say, I'm a CPA and I was just asked to go answer phone calls or I'm a CPA and I was just asked to ship or to pack boxes. And you know what? I didn't go to school for this. This isn't why I went to school and studied. This isn't what I want to do. But I'm working here now with this company, this great company, and this is such an amazing opportunity to learn more about the company and how it operates. And that's really what it is. And when I was talking about this yesterday with some people, and it's hard to see it sometimes. If you're working at a job that you may feel as though that you're not appreciated, you may feel as though that your boss doesn't care, and it's just some big corporate empire, and it's very impersonal, and no one really knows anybody, and you're just a number, you're just a cog in a wheel, and really feel as though that you're not recognized. Well, that may full well be the case. That may be your reality. But one of the best ways to change that reality is to understand when you're given an opportunity. And a lot of times it's wrapped up in a responsibility. So for example, let's say you're working at a fast food restaurant. You're making minimum wage. And your job is maybe to work at the fry-lator making French fries. I think that's what it's called, right? Fry-lator? I don't know. Fryer? I don't even know what those things are called, but I think that's what it's called. But your job is to essentially make French fries. That's it. That's all your job is. And that's what you were hired to do. And by the way, you did that at another place, and that's all you know how to do. Maybe you're a young kid in high school, okay? That's all you know how to do. And that's all you're paid to do. Nothing else. And then maybe at the end of your shift, your manager comes to you and says, "Hey, I need you to help out on the oven, and I need you to learn how to maybe make hamburgers. I need you to learn how to do it. We have a process here, and I need you to do it right now. But your shift is over, right? You're ready to go home. You want to go home. Now, what do? Well, if you have other obligations that you really need to get to, well, you need to kind of weigh those and take a look at this opportunity that has just been given to you. And the opportunity that was given to you was to learn more about the business. It was a responsibility wrapped up in an opportunity. And the opportunity allows you to grow. It builds your own personal net worth. We talk a lot about net worth and how to build your net worth, and that's really, what we're doing here with this new opportunity that I'm going to be giving people as well. Is I'm going to teach people not only how to recognize an opportunity and what to do with that, but also how to build your personal net worth. Build your personal net worth. And when you build your personal net worth, you become more valuable, right? You become more valuable to your employer. And the other interesting thing is you become more valuable to other employers. A couple days ago when I was out selling Emery vodka, I'm the CEO of Vase Marketing, a multi-million-dollar marketing firm. We just made the Inc. 5000 list for the third year in a row. I made the 40 under 40 list in the Boston Business Journal. Vase was recognized as one of the top businesses on the North Shore. We're doing some amazing things. We have infomercials that are ranked in the top 25, 3 or 4 of them. And I'm sitting at the helm of this company. And I'm not selling vodka door to door. Now, I was doing it because I wanted to do it and because I wanted to learn as well. But just recently, again, when I was out with this guy I joked around with his PhD in distilled spirits, he was showing me some stuff, and I couldn't recognize what was going on. And that's also what I want you to understand about me and about what we're going to talk about and what we're going to learn long term. Is I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to tell you that I'm perfect, because I'm not. But I step back and I'm very self-aware, and I step back and I said to myself, Mike, this is an amazing opportunity. It wasn't a responsibility. It wasn't giving me anything to do. But I was given the opportunity to go out with this gentleman and to learn from him. And at first, I didn't really like the process. I wasn't familiar with the process. I wasn't, it just didn't click with me. But it clicked pretty, about a half hour into it, and said, shit, man, this is such an amazing opportunity for me, for my company, for Emery Vodka, which is the vodka that we've launched. And once I realized that what I was doing I think it was almost 100 degrees out a couple days ago, and this hot day, going around to liquor stores and learning about the distilled spirits industry. And by the way, I know a lot about the industry, but again, I know enough to know that I don't know everything. Okay, I was being given an opportunity to learn about not only distilled spirits, but how they're sold, what my competitors are doing, some of the sales techniques that my competitors were using, what shelf space looks like, how liquor store owners react to things, what they're looking for, and when I realized that, man, I just wanted to slap myself and say, Mike, this is an amazing opportunity. You talk about this stuff in your book, Ask More, Get More. So even I, folks, sometimes have a tough time recognizing what an opportunity is. It's rare, but look, I'm not afraid to admit it. The other thing about opportunity, and this is one of the most difficult things that I think people have trouble with. It's difficult for anybody, okay? You always hear people say, well, you can turn a negative into a positive, or turn lemons into lemonade, and you always hear that kind of stuff, right? Well, a lot of times, a truly negative thing, a bad thing, maybe a horrific situation, whatever it is, there is always a silver lining to it. It sounds crazy, but there's always a silver lining to something negative. And, I'm going to show you how to recognize that. I'm going to show you how to train your brain, okay? Because there are some certain things that you need to do. It doesn't just happen overnight. And obviously it didn't just happen overnight for me. And sometimes we need some retraining ourselves. We need a retooling. We need to, go back to the basics, okay? Professional athletes practice every day. Just watched Tom Brady last night win their first game, and he's arguably one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. Yes, he may have deflated the balls, may not have, but it doesn't matter. They practice every single day, so we all need some sort of training on whatever it is we're doing. Okay, and opportunity truly does present itself in some of the most horrific and negative situations. And, there are ways to recognize that and take advantage of that. And, and there's nothing wrong with, by the way, with taking advantage of an opportunity. And I think that's another thing that people have there's a real societal, what's the word I'm looking for? People in our society feel as though that taking advantage of an opportunity is a negative thing. And that's not the case. We're taught maybe as young people that, to not ask for things or not take advantage of an opportunity that's given to us. Well, that's absolutely wrong. And if you've been taught that, I'm going to show you that's not the case, and that's not how to be successful. Too many people are given opportunities and they blow it. One, because they can't recognize it, Or maybe two, they were told that it's just not the right thing to do, and it is the right thing to do. This is how successful people think. This is how successful people progress. This is how you get better in life. Is you're able to recognize an opportunity and you're able to take advantage of it. I say in my book, Ask More, Get More, you're able to exploit it. The word exploit has a bit of a negative connotation to it, but if you're given an opportunity and maybe wrapped up in a responsibility, well, you need to, again, exploit it to your own advantage. Yeah, to your own advantage, believe it or not. And then you'll grow. Then you'll prosper. Then your net worth will increase. So, just to kind of wrap things up, we're talking about a responsibility, something that's usually given to you, a task that you need to do. It's a job that you've been given. And a lot of times it's a job that you've been given that you're not going to be financially compensated for at that very moment. At that very moment. You know, before we wrap up, I want to give you one more example. And this is something that happened to me. As a young lawyer working for a company years ago, I was very busy, as it was. The company was a large company. I did a lot of contracts, did a lot of transactions, a lot of food and drug type stuff, a lot of advertising stuff. I was a busy guy. And my boss asked me to look into something that was personal for his family. They had some property that was, they were having some challenges essentially with their neighbors. Their neighbors were essentially going to build a deck that was going to ruin their beach. It was on an island. And by the way, as a lawyer, just because you're a lawyer, just so people know, you don't know everything about the law. And I knew nothing really about real estate law. Now you take real estate law, you take property law, you take, conveyancing and all these other things in law school, just, as part of your curriculum. And I did all that stuff, but I didn't focus on it. And quite frankly, it's boring. I think real estate law is just, it's archaic, it's boring. I don't even think it's practicing law. A lot of it is just kind of passing paper. But his next door neighbor happened to be actually a powerful real estate lawyer. And she filed for a request with the town to build this giant deck that was going to, again, encroach on his property and ruin essentially his beachfront property. Beautiful place, an island in New England. And so I took it upon, he asked me to look into it. And I looked into it. I learned about not only real estate law, but also maritime law, because it had to do with the coastal area. And I researched it. And I helped put together a very strong argument on why this deck should not be put in. And it was a lot of fun for me, actually, to learn a lot about it. There was a lot of history there. There was a lot of things that I had never even knew about. And by the way, I did this in my off time. And I wasn't paid for it. He didn't pay me. First of all, legally, he couldn't even pay me for it. I didn't, I wasn't, I wasn't actually technically representing him as an individual, okay? I was just essentially doing the research for him. I compiled the research. I wrote a lot of stuff for him, and I handed it to him and let him kind of take it from there. But he essentially took what I wrote and used that as an argument with the town. And he prevented his neighbor from building this deck. And for me, obviously, that was a great win, and it felt great. But it was a lot of work, and I wasn't paid for it. He gave me a pat on the back and said, "Thank you very much." Okay, but this was early on in my career, and I was maybe making $50,000 a year or something like that. When I left that company, I was the highest paid person there. And I was making more money than most people they can't even think about the amount of money that I was making. And when you look back at the things that I did, that's an example of essentially a responsibility that I was given that was really wrapped up in an opportunity to not only learn about maritime law and to learn about real estate law, but also given the opportunity to show my boss that I was willing to go the extra mile, and I was willing to do more than what it was asked of me. I was willing to take the time and learn and, again, exploit the opportunity that was given to me. Didn't seem like an opportunity, really. It seemed more like, again, just something that my boss was asking me to do, and I kind of had to do it because he was my boss. I didn't have to do it. I could have easily said to him, look, I don't know anything about real estate law. I could probably find a lawyer that's going to do probably a better job than me. Right? But I didn't. I took advantage of the opportunity, which was, again, a responsibility and an opportunity. It was a responsibility that was wrapped up essentially in an opportunity. I took advantage of it. I wasn't paid for it, but ultimately I was. And that's what I want you to remember, is that when you're given a responsibility, it's really an opportunity that at some point down the road, might not happen immediately, might not happen the next day or the next week or the next month, but it'll probably happen for you very shortly, where that responsibility turned opportunity is truly going to increase your net worth. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, my name is Michael Alden. You can check out my website. It's michael-alden.com. I think you can also just Google it. You can find my book, Ask More, Get More, on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. My second book, 5% More, will be out soon. I'm really looking forward to talking to you further, and I hope you have a terrific day.